Today's launch marks the start of the countdown to one of our nation's greatest time-honoured sporting events. Yes, it's exactly 1 month to the start of the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race, with historic replica cannons to be fired on Boxing Day by the legendary Halverson brothers Trigg and Magnus, owners of the famous 1963 handicap winner Freya. 95 yachts have entered this year's 69th Blue Water Classic, which is poised to be one of the most fascinating, colourful and competitive races in recent memory. Some of the highlights of this year's race include 5 Super Maxis, 22 international entries, 15 brand new boats, 36 first-time entrants, a host of overall and line honours winners, plus the many Corinthian yachties who return each year for the pure love of the annual race. And now I'd like to introduce you to our panel of guests. Firstly, Matt Allen, owner of the latest and soon-to-be launched Ichi Ban, state-of-the-art and one of several brand new yachts in the fleet. Craig McCarthy, alongside, a member of the Australian Defence Force, a veteran in the Navy for 10 years, the Army for 16 years, and he did active service in East Timor. Mark Richards, skipper of Bob Oakley's Imperious 100-footer, Wild Oats XI, the defending Triple Crown holder. Anthony Bell, owner and skipper of Perpetual Loyal, who took line honours in the 2011 race with the yacht now racing as Ragamuffin 100. And Roger Hickman, owner of the 28-year-old Far 43 Wild Rose, current leader of the CYCA Blue Water point score, and emerging as an early favourite for the overall race win. And last but not least, what a sensational yachtsman, Tom Slingsby, the 2012 Laser Olympic gold medalist, and this year's strategist for the America's Cup winner, Oracle Team USA. Tom now proud to be on board Perpetual Loyal. So ladies and gentlemen, I think they all deserve a big hand for their attention.
It's my great pleasure to welcome you to the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia for the official launch of the 69th Rolex Sydney Harbour Yacht Race. The fleet currently stands at 95, one of the most dynamic and colourful for the club in recent years. And this year, what a most compelling line honours battle we'll see, and I'll leave that to Gordon to tell you about as we develop the presentation. The bulk of the fleet, representing all states of Australia and the Australian Capital Territory, along with many international entries, will be vying for the Tasmania's Cup. The stunning sterling silver trophy presents the overall winner. The boat performs best on her IRC handicap over the arduous 628 nautical mile course. Those competing for the Cup are provided with an IRC rating determined by their length, weight and age. This ensures a level playing field, meaning that any one of the yachts entered in IRC this year has the opportunity to win it. And this year, there are many who could win it. There's no clear favourite due to the diversity and strength of the fleet. The Cruising Yacht Club of Australia extends sincere thanks once again to Rolex, naming rights sponsor for the race since 2002. I'd like to welcome Louise Hutchins, Communication Manager of Rolex Australia, who's with us today. Thank you, Louise. Rolex will again provide 2 Rolex Yachtmaster timepieces, one for the skipper of the line honours, the yacht winning yacht, and the other for the overall winner. Thank you to those media who continues to acknowledge Rolex generosity via your reporting. I'd also like to acknowledge the state governments of New South Wales and Tasmania for the support of logistics they provide to a number of their agencies. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognise the many volunteers from this club, the Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania, and thank them for their dedicated service both from both clubs and to this regatta. And a very special thanks to Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania for their unwavering support as our race finishing club since 1945. The start of the Rolex Sydney Harbour Yacht Race will be broadcast live on the 7 network throughout Australia, the Australian network throughout the Asia Pacific region, and webcast live to a global audience on Yahoo 7. I look forward to sharing with you one of the most colourful and competitive Rolex Sydney Harbour Yacht races in recent memory. Thank you.
Thank you, Commodore. Well, as the Commodore intimated, this year's Lion Honours battle will be an enthralling white-knuckle ride between defending Triple Crown holder Wild Oats XI, Bob Oakley, taking on what is reputedly the fastest racing super maxi in the world, Perpetual Loyal, Anthony Bell. We also have Ragamuffin 100, Sid Fisher, and Wild Thing Grant Warrington. Anthony purchased the former Speedboat Rambler earlier this year and has once again assembled a heavyweight crew, including all-conquering navigator Stan Honey, and as mentioned, reigning Olympic laser gold medalist Tom Slingsby, who was the strategist for Oracle in the America's Cup. Perpetual Loyal will also have several celebrities on board. Bolstering one of the largest international fleets are the 12 identical 70-foot yachts designed for the Clipper Round the World race, all representing Great Britain. This is the first time the Clipper race will use the Rolex Sydney Hobart as a leg of its own race. Each yacht has a designated professional skipper, but is crewed by individuals who pay to take up the challenge of one or more legs. Not only will the Clipper yachts be racing the rest of the fleet, they'll also race against each other for the leg win and will be trying to beat Sir Robert Knox Johnson, the Clipper race's creator, who will be aboard one of two previous edition 68 Clipper yachts. Other international entries have been received from Germany, New Zealand, Singapore, Hong Kong, New Caledonia, with the first ever entry from Cyprus, Zafiro, a 100-foot cruiser racer owned by Gerhard Reuter. In today's society where technology is ever-changing, sailing is at the cutting edge as a global leader and innovator. Several owners have invested in the latest thinking in offshore racing yachts, including Matt Allen with his Kaki 60, Ichi Ban, Carl Kwok and his Boaton 80, Beau Jest from Hong Kong, and Tony Kirby's latest Patrice, a Kerr 46. The same can also be said of the two Volvo 70s from the 2011-12 Volvo Ocean race. New Zealand winery owner Jim Delegate now owns Groupama 4, which won the last Volvo Ocean race, and has renamed it Giacomo, whilst Queenslander Peter Harburg purchased the former Telefonica and renamed it Blackjack. Both have since undergone modifications to suit a variety of conditions, and the battle between those two will be fierce. There are 7 former overall winners competing in this race. They are defending champion Wild Oats XI, Kim Jagger, Travis Reed's Illusion, the winner in 1988, Roger Hickman's Wild Rose, 93, the Banshee, the winner as Terra Firma in 1995, James Cameron's Lunar Sea as AFR Midnight Rambler in 1998, the roughest race on record, Philip Childs' Knee Deep as Yendis in 99, and John Newbold's Primitive Cool as Secret Men's Business in 2010. Many of the race's colourful characters are returning. The Sydney Hobart, the Rolex Sydney Hobart, wouldn't be the same without Sid Fisher, who at 86 equals the record for the oldest person to compete in the race, and his great mate Tony Ellis. The pair will be sailing their 41st Hobart together. Individually, it's 45th for Sid and 47th for Tony. Tony Cable will once again break his own record of the most number of races sailed by an individual by competing in his 48th Hobart on Duende. Bill Ratcliffe sails his 45th Hobart aboard She, and Lindsay May tackles his 41st on Brindabella, the yacht he helped sail to Lion Honours in 1997. And Dave Keller, who performed such an important role as the chief radio operator on the radio relay vessel, is heading south for his 40th Rolex Sydney Hobart. Victorian Martin Power will skip a Bacardi, a Peterson 44 on the yacht's 28th voyage south, thus creating a new record for the number of Hobart races completed by a yacht. And there's also a large family element to this year's Rolex Sydney Hobart, with fathers and sons, brothers, mothers and sons, as well as some friendly rivalry between clubmates and fellow countrymen and women. So, after that preamble, let's now talk and meet our panel. Firstly, successful businessman and skipper of Wild Oats XI for each of her 6 Lion Honours wins, including her 2 trebles. the only yacht in the race's history to achieve this feat. Once again, Mark Richards will be at the helm of Bob Oakley's 100-footer and is hoping to equal the astonishing record of 7 line honours wins by Morna, which later became Currawong 4. Mark, it's come around very quickly. The 8-year-old Wild Oats XI has had a range of modifications. Take us through them and what if any.
Yeah, thanks, Gordon. I mean, what an amazing rollout we've got for this year, and it's a very, very exciting prospect for all of us. Wild Oats, Bob Oakley, once again, it's definitely not going to die wondering about the capability of Wild Oats. This year we've done 2 major modifications. We've put a new mast in, which is hopefully going to be a great thing for us. We've had a few little glitches with that along the way, but we're sorting our way through those. And we've put the first real offshore ocean racing boat to install a DSS board, which is a stability horizontal foil in Wild Oats XI, which is proven to be quite a good thing for us at high speed. And these are all things that we've sort of been putting together and working hard on, knowing that Anthony's going to be turning up here in Loyal. Something we were sort of planning for a couple of years ago, and George David was supposedly going to turn up with the boat here, and it didn't happen for obvious reasons. But it's a really exciting time for all of us, and we're very excited.
So the new mast fits comfortably over the Harbour Bridge carriageway?
Yeah, it does by a couple of metres, so it's okay.
That's important. Well, you mentioned Anthony, and none of the Super Maxis in this year's fleet have raced against Perpetual Loyal yet. How confident do you feel going into the Hobart?
Look, it's a really interesting and anxious time for all of us. It's fortunately for us on Wild Oats, we've got a lot of guys who've spent many thousands of miles racing on board Loyal in the former self of Rambler and Speedboat. So we've got a fairly good feel of what their capabilities are and their strong points and weak points. And the 2 boats are very, very different craft. Wild Oats a very long, narrow boat. Perpetual Loyal a very beamy, very powerful boat. I mean, they virtually have double the riding moment of Wild Oats, which is a big deal. But that doesn't come without problems as well in light air and stuff like that. So it's really going to come down to conditions. When Loyal's in her conditions, they're literally going to be knots faster than Wild Oats, and those roles will reverse in the other way. Wild Oats.
So what are those conditions you're talking about?
Look, I think anything reaching and fresh upwind, they're going to be very, very hard to beat. But anything VMG running from nothing to a lot of Wild Oats is probably still one of the fastest VMG running boats in the world. The Rock or Pew boats are very fast in lighter air, and we've been working very hard at improving our upwind performance as well, so that we can sort of minimise the damage upwind against these guys. So it's going to be interesting times, and we're looking forward to it.
And just briefly, any changes to the Oaks team this year?
Not really, pretty well the same. So yeah.
Well, Anthony Bell, Chief Executive Officer of High Performance Bell Partners, one of Sydney's leading accountancy and financial advisory companies. Tell us why you decided to come back and compete in the race again, Anthony.
Ultimately, Gordon, I missed it. I sat the year out for 2012. My wife was ill and had to go through some advanced medical procedures during the course of that year. And during her recovery, I think for the first couple of days of from Boxing Day onwards, I spent the entire time on Yacht Tracker, and the ultimate decision actually, I remember watching Rico and the boys claim victory in the race in 2012, and I sort of had my hand on the phone, and Kel said, just do it, you're a pain in the neck actually, with you not being in the race. So,
was that 1 second after the finish or 2?
No,
the band has started already.
Yeah, I was actually thinking to write down some of those weaknesses. But to amplify, it was a decision. I got on the phone to Coco and Joe Akasich from Black Joe, and it was, as Rico says, shortly after their victory, and they said, find us where Rambler's lying right now, and grab the boat, and let's get back in the game. And so that was on the 28th of December 2012, somewhere at about 9:30.
You've been conducting some pretty intensive crew training over the last couple of weeks. It's all coming together as planned, we assume. Is the boat as fast as reported?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a short runway leading into Hobart, and I guess the thing that we're most cognizant of is that the last time this boat was in a race of this sort of calibre, its keel fell off, and 21 crew members ended up in the water and had to be rescued to sea. So I guess there's been a strong concern in the first instance over safety, and making sure the boat sort of hits the required markers that it should do to take it to sea. And I guess the second one is to prepare the boat in what is a very short runway from when we actually got it back from the rebuild to be competitive and to hopefully continue the race. So to elaborate on that would be we're training well. So far so good, and we had a pretty strategic program to get us to the start line of Boxing Day, and we're on schedule for that.
And it's a pretty awesome crew that you've assembled. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we tried to get a mixture of some of what we consider to be the best sailors in the world. Bring some new blood, like Tom, into our team to educate us on different methods of strategy, and also Tom's going to be one of the helmsmen in racing as well, who better to get one of the best talents in the country to do that. We've called on some former sailors who were on Speedboat and Rambler in its previous life, who can help us and guide us to where the boat likes to be sailed, and to, I guess, help the runway up to Hobart be as smooth and as fast as it can be. But it's effectively the same team, the nucleus of the same team that we raced in 2011 is back on the boat. So fundamentally 3/4 of the team are the same. And we are, like I said, obviously charity focused. I mean, that is really our first focus. So we will be taking some of the outside sailors, the new sailors, in the competition again. I
bumped into Phil Moore, former Wallaby, and he's very serious.
Yeah, this is more his first halo. He's one of the first to sign up. He's actually, Coco moved him sort of more into one of the more professional sort of roles on the boat. So he's actually moving forward with the bow, and he sort of suits that sort of role around the mast. He's tough and strong, but he actually, sort of is right into sailing. Post his Wallaby career, he loves the thrill of it, he loves the excitement of it, and it's not impossible that he'll try and go to the heights of sailing as he did in rugby union into the future as well.
Well, Anthony, we'll move across to Tom, and Olympic gold medalist last year, a wonderful campaign for the Australian sailing team at the London Olympics with 3 gold medals, and you were leading the way there. Unbelievable America's Cup success. Tom, after all this success, you finally decided to tackle the Sydney Hobart. Why?
Yeah, obviously I've been in a bit of a different area of sailing. I've been doing the Olympic sailing and America's Cup, but for the last 10 years I think I've been asked to do the Sydney to Hobart race, and my excuse is always I've got Olympic commitments or I've got different commitments, but the truth is I was just sort of pretty happy watching from my lounge with a beer in my hand. But when Anthony called and said, look, we'd like you to be part of this team, he said, we've got Rambler, the boat. He said, this is the crew we've got. I think I was already hooked there, but then the kicker with raising money for the Loyal Foundation, it's just a dream sort of gig, and it's for a great cause, great team and great boat, and I thought, how could I not be part of this? So I'm going to compete in my first Sydney to Hobart, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Well, raised on the Brisbane waters, proud member of the Gosford Sailing Club. How are your sea legs?
We'll find out, I guess. I haven't done too much ocean racing at all. Well, very, very little. And so, yeah, I'm as curious as you are. We head offshore often. I haven't been sick on a yacht before. I have been sick on a boat before, on fishing boats when I used to work. But on a yacht, I haven't been sick, and so we'll see.
Any hints, Rico?
Yeah, Tom, just make sure you have a nice warm tuna milkshake on that. You're going to be fine.
Carl Stefanovic's tutoring him as well.
That's my mentor.
Well, given all of your successes at the elite level, are you feeling any pressure to perform in the Sydney Harbour?
I don't think so. I really don't feel any pressure when I compete. I think I've been through it all, being the favourite in a couple of Olympics and not performing and then performing. I think that's the biggest stage where you're going to feel the pressure. The America's Cup, obviously, a lot of pressure. But
no pressure there. Down 8-0.
Yeah, but it's always the same. You've just got to go out and do the best that you can do personally and help the team as best you can. And it's always the same process, and so it doesn't matter what the scoreline is or what the event is, you've just got to do the best you can, and and that's what I'll be doing at Loyal. I'll be helming a bit, and I'll do my best there, and then I'll be putting in up on the foredeck, dragging sails, doing whatever the team needs, and so I'll just do my best for the team, and hopefully we'll come away with a good result.
Now your dad, David, or Slingshot as he's known in yachty circles, you've sailed with him, he's done a few Hobarts. Has he given you any advice so far, or are you expecting any from him?
I'll have to expect some, I hope. He hasn't given me any yet, but he knows we haven't done, I've been overnight offshore or anything like that, but when I start doing that, I'm going to have to call on him for sure.
I think Cruising Yacht Club and the Rolex Sydney Harbour is just delighted to have an ambassador such as Tom Slingsby involved in the race. Matt Allen, past Commodore of the CYCA, President of Yachting Australia. Tell us about your new Ichi Ban. It's state of the art.
Yeah, thanks, Gordon. Well, we only took the new Ichi Ban for a sail 2 days ago, so we've only been sailing twice, so it's very early days. She was built in Dubai. We really started the build in really April, so it's been a very fast build of what is obviously a high-tech racing yacht. So far, the boats performed very well. This weekend we've got the full race crew coming on board, so that'll be the test of making sure all the systems work, that all the crew know how to work the systems and try to find any gremlins in the systems. So far so good, but we've got a fair way to go at this point.
Without being too technical, what are some of these cutting-edge features of the new Ichi Ban?
Well, we've certainly used some of the technology that's being used on some of the bigger boats in terms of hydraulic systems. So we've got basically 20 hydraulic systems on the boat, and just making sure all the computers are running those hydraulic systems correctly is probably the main feature of the boat. And we feel like that a fixed keel boat at around about 60 feet is quite a good proposition for winning the race overall.
What about the process behind the design and length of the boat?
Well, we'd certainly been watching Loki for a number of years and decided that we thought that Loki was a very successful yacht in Australian waters. I think in the Sydney to Hobart it gives the ability for the yacht to utilise some of the more modern sail shapes, and is fast enough to do that, but is also, being a fixed keel yacht, has certain advantages when conditions get tough. You've got less things to go wrong, but you can also have a fair bit of riding moment through crew weight, and then hopefully get the rating advantage of that. And so that's the bet that we're making. Hopefully I think the 60-foot yacht generally gets into Hobart at quite a good time, and when the winds are reasonably fresh in the sort of late morning, early afternoon, so we'll see whether the plan works.
Well, it's 30 years since your last handicap overall victory in the challenge with Lure Abraham, so you're well overdue. You've had a lot of high placings across the line in the old Ichi Ban. Are you feeling lucky?
Well, we're pretty good at getting seconds in the last 30 years, I must say, Gordon, both across the line and overall. So hopefully we can go one better, but yeah, 30 years, it's a long time between drinks.
And you haven't been holding back when it comes to selecting your crew as well. Tell us about it.
No, we've combined a lot of experience from the old Ichi Ban as well as the Loki program that really shut down after last year's Rolex Sydney to Hobart race. And we've also got a lot of Volvo experience. So we've got Will Oxley and Neil Cox from Camper. We've got Phil Harmer from Group Armour, who won the Volvo race. We've got Gordon Maguire, who was the sailing master from Loki, and a number of the other Loki guys. So we've got a lot of experience on board.
And of course, the Undertaker, Ian Spears.
Speesy's back for one more gig, that's for sure.
Only one more gig.
That's right. We only do it one at a time.
Okay. Roger Hickman, you won the race overall in 1993 with the Far 43 Wild Rose, and currently leading the CYC's Blue Water Points score. So far, scoring a third and 3 straight wins from 4 races. Rog, the Rolex Sydney Hobart is the decider for you, but your reputation as one of the best ocean racers, you've emerged as a popular fancy this year's race. I hope that's not a Jonah for you, but what conditions do you think will do the job for Wild Rose?
Oh, Gordon, thanks very much. It's hard to say. I guess fair and even conditions. I think this year will probably be maybe just south of Montague Island watching the big boats on television finish, And so what happens from there, I guess, is for us the big decider. But if the conditions are fairly even, if it's light all the way or fresh all the way, or obviously we'd like no wind for the first 2 days and plenty for the last day. But it is what it is, and that's what's so exciting about this Rolex race.
And it must be a wonderful boat. I mean, even last year you were certainly in contention for handicap honours very close to the end.
Yes, I think there's one thing that Bob Oakley does is picks good boats. And I was lucky enough to sail with Bob and lucky enough to own this boat. So, look, it is a lovely boat and it's been very kind to us. And we really enjoy sailing. It's quite a challenge, unlike the new boats. Sailing slow and very rolly and very bouncy. It offers its own challenges.
So how is it you're able to get the best out of it and be so competitive? What are those qualities?
Look, with such an esteemed group of people here, especially Tom, my usual response to that is I far prefer being lucky than good. But I mean, in these cases, these guys are brilliant. They're the best in the world. So I'll stick with my luck and see how we go.
What is the Blue Water point score in the Rolex Sydney Hobart? Why are they so important for you and the group?
Well, look, I think, Gordon, as you get older and your hair goes grey, you tend to hang on to the things that are historical. And the Blue Water Championship is kind of for the east coast of Australia, it's the stalwart, it's the home of what ocean racing is. And I've been lucky enough to compete in it for many, many years. So it's very special. It's something that we've been privileged enough to win before. And as once again, I guess you just like to do things that you've done before again, if it involves victory and winning. And so, yeah, it's very special. Sydney Hobart is in itself very special.
Well, your crew, perhaps unusually, is once again a blend of male and female sailors, a mix of youth and exuberance, and some older hands. Are we talking about a magic elixir here?
Well, I think everybody today and everybody that goes sailing talks about the crew because it's so important. You know, whether it's the America's Cup and they talk about the boat and the crew, whether it's, you know, I guess there's Tom with himself on the laser, it's a bit difficult, but the team around him has always been congratulating the team. And so I think we have a blend. The women are extremely valuable. Their power to weight ratio is good. But I think the real magic elixir is, my father always said to me, 90% of ocean racing is housekeeping. And so you really need people right across the board that can do the housekeeping. And so that's our secret.
I'm not going to say the women are especially good.
No.
But what has been your most memorable Rolex Sydney Hobart and why?
Oh, Gordon, they're all special. Every race to Hobart, whether it's the first or the most recent one, has special attributes. It's just a special event, and I could never hope to pick one from another.
On that note then, we might move to Craig McCarthy, one of 10 brave mates competing on Spirit of Mateship, which aims to raise money for the Mates for Mates charity, which was established to provide support to wounded, injured and ill members of the Australian Defence Force and their families. Craig, welcome. Are you feeling a little bit daunted about your first Rolex Sydney Harbour?
Oh, well, this company, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a good challenge. We're all, my whole crew are looking forward to it. So.
Well, tell us about the Mates for Mates concept.
Basically, they're put together to help injured, wounded ex-servicemen and their families. They've got a number of projects that they've put together, the summer program. They've just done a challenge where they've paddled, a bunch of guys paddled from Sydney to Brisbane in kayaks. And they've got a whole range of services.
Is that something that attracts you?
No. No, I'll stick to sitting on a boat, thanks. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't get easy. How have you been preparing? Have you been offshore with the crew?
Yeah, we've been training out of Southport the last month and a half, I suppose. Just getting the hang of the boat, finding out what it does, finding out if anybody's getting it sick or not. It's all done pretty well so far.
So how are your sea legs, importantly?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been a long time since I've been to sea. Getting the hang of it. Yeah, it's not too bad.
And what about your injuries, Craig?
Yeah, over 26 years I've accumulated a number of injuries, broken legs, whatnot. Yeah, a lot of us are dealing with post-traumatic stress from our service. So psychologically, it's a big event for us, and but everybody's dealing with it really well, and it's been pretty cathartic actually.
I'd imagine it would be very therapeutic, the camaraderie on board, particularly when you're offshore trading and sailing the boat very hard. Tell us about that emotion and experience.
Well, having come from a military background where everybody works as a team anyway, you lose that camaraderie and that mateship when you get out, and it's really good to get back into that. And everybody's just gelled really well together. None of us knew each other before we came on board, and us, the 10 ADF guys and lady on board, get on really well with the crew. They've just imparted all their knowledge onto us. Overload actually, but yeah, too bad.
You mentioned broken bones, and I know some of those occurred from jumping out of aeroplanes.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to keep the body intact when things get pretty bumpy out there?
Oh yeah, I think so. We've got a doctor on board, so yeah, we might be kept busy.